All right, welcome everybody to Drew Code Sports Talk. I am your host, Cody, and over on the opposite camera is my handsome co-host, Andrew Wright, who just spilled on himself right before we jumped on live.
It's only tea.
It's only,
It'll come out.
I hope that's what that red Solo cup had in it, is tea. Anyways, speaking of tea, Drew, we have a lot of tea to talk about with the Raiders, good old Raiders.
But also tea, the royal wedding is happening.
That's right.
Kels,
is it really the royal wedding? It's probably more like the Swiftie wedding, if we're being honest.
Well, everyone's coining it the royal wedding. So I'm just going with what
the enchanted wedding, I think, because the royal's already taken. It needs to be something different. It needs to be,
and they can use her song "Enchanted." Cody, you have
marketing genius. Taylor, give me a call. We'll figure this out.
We trademarked right there.
Trademark.
If you want it, Taylor, you come talk to us.
I'll sell it to you for a low price. Just come find me. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You guys are also probably going to hear this on Spotify, Apple the following day because we were recording this the night before. That's a little inside baseball for you guys. Drew, it's been a minute, dude. How's it going? How's Fresno State? You just started.
Yes.
Tell me how's that going so far?
So I feel like the meme or the GIF, whatever you want to call it, where it's Steve Buscemi, and he's got a backwards hat on, he's got the sweatshirt, he's got the skateboard, and he's going, hello, my young friends, or my young, what is up? And I feel like that in every single class. I'm definitely the old man in the class. That's okay though. I'm very happy to be there and to get my schooling done, and so that's what I'm there for. So far, I've done pretty good, but it's only been like a week, so we'll see. But it's been fun, and it's been I'm getting into a new routine, and which allows me. It actually lets me go to the gym more, so I like doing that as well. So that's really cool. Wednesdays are my long days, so tomorrow is going to be kind of a long day. It would be really helpful if I had that scooter that someone keeps forgetting, but it's cool.
I feel like I've told you 3 times you can come pick it up, but Mister, I'm too busy right now.
I am.
In how many softball leagues?
I'm only in one, but
okay, whatever.
I should say 1.5 because sometimes I play in another with Diego, but it's only as needed.
I was going to ask, when did you become a member of Lithia Subaru to join their softball team?
You know what?
Do you change oils on the side?
I work in the Beyond department in Lithia Subaru. You know what? Everyone does it, okay?
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah. No, that one that's the league I'm definitely in. So on Thursdays I definitely am playing. But on Wednesdays, my other brother-in-law, Diego, he's in you want to talk about someone who's in a lot of softball leagues. I'm sure that guy is in like 5.
Well, what's he gonna do when what's he gonna do when California bans online gambling? Because doesn't he like to do that for fun as well?
I don't know if he's been doing that lately, actually.
Oh, really?
I don't know. He hasn't talked to us in a while because I gave up on it because I was starting to get poorer. And then, and I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Beto still does it. So I don't know if Diego's doing it. He hasn't talked to us in a while about it. So
okay,
he's at least slowed down for sure.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, I think we're going to dive into some questions. Although we do have a comment right now. This is Corey with Shovik Sports. Raiders found their franchise quarterback at the low price of the 5th. You know what, man? You can just. Yeah, no, we'll talk about that later on in the show, but thank you, Corey, for tuning in. I've definitely been hearing it from the guys about our front office moves, we'll say, Drew.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the first line of questioning that we have, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a lot of Las Vegas Raiders talk. Specifically, it all came in one day, which was kind of weird. But and like within like an hour of each other. So it's kind of random. But I wanted to talk about this first because I think that this is way more significant than any of the other moves that they've done. So Jakobi Meyers formerly requested a trade from the Raiders. Cody, you and I were kind of talking about this on Marco Polo before we kind of got on here. But do you believe that it's just a play to get an extension, or do you think he really wants out?
You know what? I think this is a little interesting because this came on the same day that Terry McLaurin got his money and he got, his contract extension with the Commanders. I think we can agree that Terry McLaurin, though, is a little bit more talented in terms of a wide receiver one than Jakobi Meyers. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. That's just the truth of the matter. And I think this could be a negotiating tactic, although I'd like to think that the Raiders were maybe more mature to at least not let anything like this kind of sneak away, because now this is just distracting from the season coming ahead and all the optimism about, this is a new regime and we're going to have Pete Carroll who's leading the way. It just kind of feels like the Raiders now are, and again, I'll credit you to this. You'll probably tell this on, a little bit later on down the show about your expectations. But, for me, I was kind of optimistic about how the Raiders would, come into the season looking like a more mature football team. Mm-hmm. And yet, in my opinion, this whole thing about Myers, I think this just shows our inability to meet players where they need to be. Because we had the same issue with Colton Miller, and I think Colton Miller was a Raider that we deserved to re-sign with no issue. And I mean, other than a short holdout, we were able to get that done. Jakobi Meyers has been nothing but a shining light for us since we, had him on the team back with Josh McDaniels. And the fact that he was the only, shiny star that we had outside of Brock Bowers now might not be on the team, or he's at least demanding to leave the team, is a little worrisome, considering I'd like to think that we're a better football team than that. But I think ultimately, if this is a negotiating tactic, we'll see how the two sides come together. He's still under contract, so he's not going anywhere. The Raiders aren't just going to, just bend a knee to the demand. I think that they'll figure something out. But it's just kind of unfortunate that this comes out right as we are trying to figure out the roster a week before, week one. So I'm a little man, do we have to go through this right now? And as far as a negotiating tactic, probably. Where we're at within negotiations, I don't know, but I'm hoping that cooler heads prevail for sure.
It just seems like every year there's always something. Always someone got a problem with the Raiders, and then and you're right. This team is way more mature than what they have been. So the expectations were higher this year. I would say more hopeful. And not in a sense of I don't know. I mean, we all have the delusional fans in the fan base, but I think any sane person would understand. Listen, the Raiders are going to be better than what they were last year. Last year they won 5 games, so they're definitely going to win more than that. I think it's safe to say. I don't think they're going to be the same. I think their offense with Geno Smith just in itself is already 2 more wins that you're going to get just with him. And he's not even I wouldn't put him in a top 10 conversation at all. Maybe not even top 15, but he's just that much better than what Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell were. So the feeling was hopeful for Raider fans, for just the Raiders in general. And with a guy who in the last 2 years with the Raiders, who's had 158 receptions, over 1,800 receiving yards, 12 receiving touchdowns, 4 last year, 8 his first year, and he's had 3 drop passes in those 2 years. I mean, that's really good. That's really, really, really good, and that's someone you want to hang on to.
And not to mention 0 last year with 3 different quarterbacks.
Yeah, so he's done a lot better. It went from the guy who made one of the worst NFL plays we had seen in a while, where ironically against the Raiders, and then he comes to the Raiders and he's actually one of the most reliable players that we had in the last 2 years. And so it's kind of disheartening because now you're starting to see all this hope. And you wonder if it's, okay, is this a Raider thing or is this Jakobi Meyers feeling like, hey, you guys drafted all these receivers. Now everyone's talking about Brock Bowers. Now you got Ashton Genty. Where do I fit into this? So there's so many possibilities of why this came about, but it was kind of sudden. Like we hadn't heard anything about Jakobi Meyers being unhappy or Jakobi Meyers' role is going to diminish. Like it didn't sound like anything was going to happen like that. But for some reason, and speaking of fantasy, speaking in fantasy terms, he was a guy that a lot of people were like, I want Jakobi Meyers because with Geno Smith, he's going to be a target guy because, they're going to start doubling Brock Bowers. So Jakobi Meyers is a really good route runner. He's got really good hands. I mean, he's going to be a guy that they're going to constantly go to. So it's just a little weird timing to me. And honestly, I do feel like he wants an extension. That's why I think this is happening, which I'm not hating the guy for. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hate the Raiders for this because I feel like how many years in a row has the money consistently gone up for these teams? I mean, I can't remember the last year that it didn't go up. And so I just don't, it makes no sense to me why these teams don't get ahead of it. Why would you not sign Jakobi Meyers? Let's say he does want Terry McLaurin money. Is it a little steep? It is. But in the grand scheme of things, that contract is not going to look as bad like this year than it will next year. Next year, it's going to be more. He's going to want more because the market and the money's going to go up. So why would you not get ahead of it now? And the only thing I can think of is this might actually be one of the more helpful things for the Raiders. So I'm going to kind of pull it back here. Maybe the Raiders aren't getting ahead of it because they think that there's a possibility we could come up with a trade for the Cincinnati Bengals to get Trey Hendrickson. If you add Jakobi Meyers in that, you now have a legit slot guy who would be really good in the slot, by the way, Jakobi Meyers, in that offense with one of the best quarterbacks. That's going to be very tempting for the Bengals, who arguably only look at offense in the first place. So, and then, of course, you're going to have to probably give a draft pick, which could have been the 5th round draft pick, but now that's gone. That was a little
foreshadowing.
Just a little angry on that one. But I mean, for real, like you might have to throw in a draft pick, maybe a future draft pick, maybe it'd be like in 2 years or whatever. But I think there's a possibility because Jakobi Meyers right now is a sell high type of a guy right now, and Trey Hendrickson has been vocal about he wants out. I think there's starting to be more and more talks with the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, that's the only thing to me, honestly, that makes sense of why the Raiders would not get ahead of this and just be like, let's just sign this guy now. The contract is going to be a moot point by the time it ends. We could sign him to a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, or a 1-year deal with a player option or a team option, whatever. And you give the guy what he wants. It's not going to be as significant money as you're making it seem like it's going to be. And both parties are happy. And you keep a guy who's going to be a weapon on offense for you. So, yeah, that's just kind of what all my thoughts went to was, okay, is this a strategy for Myers? Is this a strategy for the Raiders? Is there something bigger at play that's going to happen? Like I said, like a trade with the Bengals or with someone else. I don't know. I just brought that as an example, but yeah, it seems weird.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is, so first off, Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals, if I'm not mistaken, they agreed to give him a salary bump. So this 1 year, he'll make $30 million. So I think that they're set for just this year and he'll be a free agent next year. So I think they have that covered. Now, I did hear that because Jakobi Meyers did, request a trade, that there is conversation between, or I'm assuming there's rumors of conversations between the Patriots and Kyle Duggar, the safety, and the Raiders and obviously Jakobi Meyers about, I don't know if it's like a 1-for-1 or a 1 and some picks to swap one another or whatever. Cause obviously we need safety help like crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, just in general, I wouldn't do that just because Jakobi Meyers to me is more valuable on our offense than what Duggar would be on our defense, because we have more holes than just safety on our defense. To me, that wouldn't fix our defense. But shout out to, again, Corey with the Shovics. I think, and again, to your point, it's not that he deserves Scary Terry money. It's just like the Raiders need to, I think, pay these guys before they get too expensive, to your credit. And we'll look at the Bengals again as the example. If they would have signed, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, like a season early each respectively, they would have saved themselves a ton of cap space, a lot of money on those two players alone.
Could not agree more.
So the Raiders with Jakobi Meyers, I think Jakobi Meyers too, he's like, he wants to get paid more than $20 million. And I can understand the Raiders saying, hey, that's a little rich considering the contract extension might be like 2 additional years, maybe 3 years. Obviously, I'm not trying to pay him $90 million as well, but could I pay him 50 something, to where he's between like 17 and 18 million? I could. I can see why the Raiders maybe are like 20 to 25 is a little rich for my blood.
Yeah.
But I think too, like if this is Myers camp putting out there that he's requested a trade, he wants to go elsewhere, and maybe the Raiders are just fielding offers to see what they're going to get. But I ultimately think the Raiders are, in the grand scheme of things, they hold the power still because they still have his contract. And if I'm Jakobi Meyers, I'm not sitting out for the year. I think what's happened with certain big name players a long time ago when they were willing to sit out, like first player that comes to mind about sitting out for a year on a contract year is Le'Veon Bell, who really screwed himself over when he essentially sat out an entire year.
Yeah.
Finally got a contract extension. When he came back, he wasn't worth that contract extension and then cost himself more money later in his career. So I think when we hear players are holding out or requesting a trade, that they're going to do that. And reality is they're not going to do that. 9 out of 10 times they will play out the deal of whatever they have left, and they will essentially put their best foot forward to make themselves, either get paid by the franchise that they're requesting a trade out of, or if a team really likes this player enough, they will perform enough to where, yeah, we'll give you whatever we want to acquire this player. And I think Jakobi Meyers, he's ultimately going to play for the Raiders, in my opinion. I don't think the Raiders are shopping him tomorrow unless there is like a crazy trade that comes through that we just cannot say no to, and I don't think a lot of teams are going to do that, but I would say like the Raiders are going to hold on to him. He's probably going to play out the final year of his deal. He'll probably walk away. The Raiders won't get anything more from him because I don't think he's a restricted free agent. I think he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. So it's going to be a prove it deal of whether he deserves an extension or he's going to get traded to a team. I don't know if this is going to turn into a Devontae Adams situation where he literally just walks into the GM's office and says, trade me or I sit, which is what Devontae did before he was sent over to New York. I don't know if that's this type of situation. I feel like Jakobi Meyers is going to be a professional regardless, but I agree. Like, I kind of wish the Raiders would have gotten ahead of this because I feel like ultimately it's distracting towards like putting our focus towards the Patriots in week 1. Like we need to be 100% in lockstep with that. And now the underlining remarks of like, okay, well, is Jakobi Meyers going to finish the season as a Raider? What teams are fielding him? Now you got to ask Max Crosby that. Now you got to ask Pete Carroll that. It's just a big distraction over like, how are we preparing for the Patriots? How are we going to beat the Patriots and be, 1-0 and then move on to play the Chargers to be 2-0 or whatever the case may be. So it's just poor timing to your point.
So what do you hope the Raiders do with Myers?
I hope that
what's your
I want them to re-sign Myers because I do think that he brings a lot of value. Now, if they want to play the card of like, listen, we're just going to let you play out the final year of your deal because we do have Trey Tucker. We obviously drafted Jack Besh and we drafted Dante Thornton Jr., who is probably going to be the number 1 if he does really well this season. And by all accounts, like takes that step forward next year that, he's projected to do, because he's projected to be like a top target for Geno this upcoming season. So assuming that all comes to fruition. I can see Dante Thornton Jr. being the one. We don't really need to keep paying an older Meyers. We can let him walk. And then we go from there. But today, like if we were to trade Jakobi Meyers, we would have, in my opinion, like a bottom 5 receiving core. Inexperienced. We'll talk about this coming up in the next segment. But, Amari Cooper, we added him. He's an older player. So now we're adding an older player into an already kind of questionable receiving room. And the one surefire receiver that we have, not Brock Bowers, but just the receiving room in itself, the one surefire receiver that we have, we are at turmoil with because he wants to be traded. So I think that's where I'm at. I want the Raiders to ultimately settle this and either re-sign him to a 1-year, whatever, but I don't want him traded, period. I just want to make that clear. Regardless if we re-sign him or not, he should not be traded. He should remain on the Raiders and play out the final year of his deal. So that way we get the best out of Meyers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I would like Meyers to stay at least for this year. And so if they can come to terms of, all right, listen, just play out this whole year. Right? You just play out your contract, and then we'll make you an offer or whatever. I just hope at least for that because, like you said, we did draft a lot of receivers. They're very young. They'll have a little more experience by next year. So then you can make a claim for, okay, we don't want to spend that money on this receiver because we have X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. So that to me would make more sense. But I just hope at least he plays this year. That's what my hope is.
And I just drafted him on a fantasy team, so I really do hope that he plays this year.
You're like, son of a gun. I just want to let you know, I'm watching the Giants Cubs. And Drew Pomegranate just came in for the Cubs.
Drew Pomegranate. Shout out. Way back.
I didn't even know he was still in the league, to be honest.
Same. And I think the Cubs are, I'm forgetting which of the Shovik brothers the Cubs are their favorite team. But anyways, hopefully the Giants win because they give me updates all the time about Yaz doing well for the Royals, and I hate it.
Well, yeah, the Giants are winning right now. They're winning 5-2 because Chapman hit a two-run home run. So.
2-run bomb. Sweet.
Yep. All right, Cody, back to football.
Yes, sir.
So as you kind of already alluded to, the Raiders did sign Amari Cooper to a 1-year deal this year to come back to the Raiders, which is kind of crazy. It's a almost like a full circle moment, if you will. Mm-hmm. So does this help or hurt the Raiders first?
Okay, so if we're going to just for a second take the Meyers news and we're going to act like it never happened, and we're just going to accept the new fact of Amari Cooper was signed to the Raiders. I like that signing for adding depth and experience to a very, very young receiver core like what we've talked about. I think that Amari Cooper is a very good route runner. His hands are questionable. Obviously, he leads the league a lot in drops. He has a problem catching the ball and holding on to it. But when he's on the field, he's a very good receiver. And there was a time when he was on the Raiders, when they were in Oakland, when he was with the Cowboys even, he was an elite receiver, regardless of what people said, like, oh, he's not a true number one. I don't know. He was putting up number one stats, and he was doing it on the regular. And I did not like that we broke up Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. I thought those two should have stayed together. They were a really good tandem. And so the fact that, now we get to bring Cooper back is great, but I think he'll be entering his 11th season or 12th season, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a bit older, and, he didn't play a lot in Buffalo, had some injuries. So I kind of hope now that he has a little bit left in the tank. According to his presser, he has plenty left. So I'm encouraged by that. I think what I get discouraged about is, again, with the Meyers news, it does not help that on the same day we re-signed him, because it makes it feel like we're going to just now lean into Amari Cooper rather than, still try to keep Meyers. And not to say that Amari Cooper isn't a really good receiver. And again, for experience and depth, I like it. But if he's now going to be either the number one or number two option in terms of receiver because of experience, I'm now worried about that. And he did not go through a minute of training camp with us or any other team. He went unsign this entire process. Now, granted, he might be one of those guys that always stays ready, which I don't doubt, but it just makes me worried when like some Raider fans I've seen on Twitter and Instagram are like, oh, we got Coop back. Let's see if Derek Carr is willing to come out of retirement. No, guys, that was 10 years ago. What are we doing? You know, we need to move forward. So,
I mean, here's the thing. It makes sense if you have Meyers, because now you have legitimately two outside receivers. You can put Meyers in the slot, and you can also have Jack Besh in the slot as well. So now you have Yontae Thornton on one outside. You have Cooper on another, and then you have your two slot guys, and then you have Bowers. So now you got to worry about everyone. And the good thing about this signing is Geno Smith likes the deep ball. He likes to throw it deep. And who's a good deep ball receiver? Amari Cooper. He's a really good deep ball guy. He's a great route runner, and he still has speed regardless that he is a little older. So I think this was I think that really fits. But to your credit, because of this Jakobi Meyers Jakobi Meyers news, this does kind of cloud the water a little bit. It muddies it up a little bit. Now we don't know. We're not sure what that's going to look like. And so I like the signing because I do think he's still a very talented receiver. He's still a great route runner. I don't think his hands are as bad as he's been showing lately. I think that's just been – he's probably lost a little bit of confidence because nobody wants him. And I think him coming back to the Raiders could actually help him in a sense, because it's like, okay, my confidence is back. Like, I'm back with the team. And, I mean, the fans, like you said, pretty much have all been – it's been all positive, really. So, yeah, I like this move if we keep Jakobi Meyers. If we don't keep Jakobi Meyers, I don't hate this move, because now you still at least have one veteran present receiver to help the young guys out. And I think that would help. And it's going to help Geno Smith too, because he's going to be like, okay, well, I at least can trust Cooper, or I can at least trust Bowers, and then work in the younger guys as they go on. But I'm with you. The issue is we signed this guy once training camp is done. So how is the connection with him and Geno Smith? I'm not worried that they're not going to get along. I think they will. But there's these little intricate things that you have to think about that it means a lot in football. And they don't have those, and they're going to have to build it during the season. And I think there's going to be some discord here and there that we could have ironed out in the preseason, if that makes sense.
And I mean, when we see Geno and Amari on the field at the same time, we may not see an immediate connection because, you know, you form that during minicamp, training camp, preseason. Like, and again, I'll revert back to Geno Smith and Dante Thornton Jr. Those guys have been reportedly finding a connection in practice, training camp. They've made a connection on the last preseason game against the Cardinals. And that is, again, just it takes time to form that connection, to know where guys like to have the ball thrown to, where you're going to pinpoint the ball. And no offense to Amari Cooper, he's a pro, he's a professional. So is Geno. They will figure this out. But don't be surprised if they don't make an immediate impact like what we're assuming. We're not going to be a high flying offense like we were in 2016. I feel like a lot of Raider fans are yearning for that. Like, they really are wanting that 2016 offense, which is a great offense. But the reality of it is we'll never duplicate that again. And if anything, we're probably going to go more towards like what the Seattle offense looked like with Pete Carroll, and having a powerful run game, complementary receiving options, not a true number one alpha guy. Like, you know, like what some teams do have. The Raiders aren't going to have that. They're going to have a bunch of guys by committee. Fortunately, we have a stud in Brock Bowers that is probably going to eat a lot of targets, but regardless, though, it is not going to be like an old school football team where we have one number one guy who can beat anybody and whatever. We're going to have a bunch of moving parts that are going to have to know what they're doing, and Amari Cooper being one of them. And just like what we've been saying this whole segment, if Meyers is able to stay and return and play for the Raiders like what we are assuming and hope for, in my opinion, this is really good depth. But if for whatever reason the Raiders think, oh yeah, we're going to let Meyers walk, this does not look like a great signing because there probably were other options we could have looked to trade. And, again, with all the news coming out. So again, to what you saying, timing of this is just a little off.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, it's just the veteran presence. That's what they were hoping for. And they wanted probably 2 veteran receivers because there are so many young receivers on this team. But now then it was just unfortunate timing that Meyers was like, all right, I want out. And they're like, well, we got Amari Cooper.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Amari Cooper, I think you and I have both agreed. He is a hell of a receiver. We like him as a receiver.
Yeah.
I've never really doubted his skills as a receiver. I thought he was a number one guy. I don't understand why people used to say he wasn't. To me, he was. I used to get frustrated.
That's why.
Yeah, maybe. I used to get frustrated I used to get frustrated when John Gruden would never game plan to have him be the featured guy. And clearly, we were a better football team when he was the guy getting the ball.
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, we didn't want him to get the ball. We traded him to Dallas. Dallas made it a point to make sure that he was featured, and he did really, really well during his time in Dallas. And it's like, we could have had that. You know? So now that we have him back, it's great. But, we're not going to get the Cooper we had when we first drafted him. So
1,000%. Yeah. All right. So the Raiders made another move.
Yeah.
Same day, like an hour after. They trade a 5th round
Raiders
pick.
were busy yesterday.
Yeah,
they were doing a lot yesterday.
Spike Tech was like, I'm getting that itch. Got to make some moves now.
It was like Billy.
Preseason just happened, right? Like that's when you probably should make all your moves.
You remember that Moneyball scene with Billy Bean? He's calling like 5 different GMs trying to acquire one relief pitcher. That was basically what John Spytek was doing yesterday.
That's what it probably seemed like. Yeah. So Raiders trade a 5th round pick to get quarterback Kenny Pickett. So now he obviously coming out that Aiden O'Connell is pretty much down for I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks. Could be more depending on how everything goes. But I believe it was you said broken wrist.
I think it was like some broken wrist or something with his throwing arm was fractured. I think it's still a little unclear if it was like a thumb, his hand, his wrist in general, but his throwing arm was injured, and that's why the 6 to 8 week timeline.
Yeah, so obviously needed a backup quarterback. Cam Miller, actually, who was just cut on the 53-man roster, they had said they like him, but he's not ready for game time right now. So they couldn't go with that. So they made a trade for Kenny Pickett. I had initially said, I like this move because it's at least a quarterback who can move. So that is good. So let's say Geno Smith gets hurt. At least you don't lose the running portion of the quarterback position. And I've always been a big component of if you're going to have a backup quarterback, especially in this day and age, your backup quarterback needs to be a runner. If your starting quarterback is on a runner, that's fine. He's got to have good pocket presence, obviously. He's got to have a really good arm. That's probably why he's starting in the NFL. But if you're a backup quarterback, you got to be able to move. Obviously your arm is not as elite as the guy who's starting, or you don't have as much experience as the guy ahead of you, or whatever it may be. So running can be your friend if you're the backup. And so I think with Kenny Pickett, that does help. So that's kind of the positive for me. Everything else is kind of a negative for me. But I'm going to ask you first. Does this help or hurt the Raiders, in your opinion?
I think what makes this tough is I'm not high on Kenny Pickett in general. I wasn't high on him when he was drafted out of Pitt to Pittsburgh. Obviously, that didn't work out because they let him go, or I think they traded him before his rookie deal was up. And I've heard a lot of jokes that the Raiders brought in Super Bowl experience Kenny Pickett. So that kind of made me laugh a little bit. But I think what makes this tough is, again, I'm not high on Kenny Pickett. I think what makes it silly is we wasted a 5th round pick on a quarterback on the Browns, by the way. And I'm not saying that the Browns have bad quarterbacks, but for a 5th round pick, for a 5th round pick, Kenny Pickett, it's a little rich for my blood. I would have much rather gone free agency route. I see that you brought us a list like Tyler Huntley, ironically, who was cut by the Browns, did not require a 5th round pick if we wanted to sign him.
He would require a pen and paper.
Yeah, he would have made a little bit of sense in terms of like a mobile quarterback, a guy that's got NFL experience.
Yeah, and who started games.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Pickett has, but again, to your credit, you don't have to get rid of a pick for him.
No. And I even saw a quarterback that was kind of being thrown out there, Ryan Tannehill. And again, I'm not saying that Ryan Tannehill is a savior. We're not saying he's going to win his football games. What we're saying is for a backup, emergency situations, Ryan Tannehill has seen a lot of football, obviously with Tennessee. He was also with Miami. I would have understood that more than Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett to me is almost like a, what? We traded for who? Why? Like, that's what it makes me feel like. And again, I'm not saying that it's going to hurt or it's going to benefit the Raiders because he's a backup. That's all he's going to serve a purpose for. But 5th round pick, like, come on. You're like, you know, I get to like Cam Miller and even the other quarterback that we were going to convert to receiver. We let them both go during cut day today, which I get it. They're probably going to be a practice squad. I just feel like there's probably other options. If we were really desperate, I feel like we could have done better. This felt like a very rushed decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, it felt like a panic choice. Like, oh, shoot, our backup's hurt. Let's go after someone. Yeah, and I feel like if you're going to make a move, maybe wait until the cuts and then go from there. Like, that's, to me, that just makes sense. But who knows? I mean, who knows what the thought process was, what the listen, Spytech gets paid money to do this stuff. So obviously he's got a better plan than what you and I are going to have. Mm-hmm. But I think for Raider fans, it's important to at least look at it and go, does that make sense? And I feel like trading a 5th round pick a day before the cuts, I just don't think it's smart. I don't think that's good business. And maybe the Browns were like, well, if you don't make the trade, we don't have a deal. And so I mean, maybe, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But for me, I feel like there's other options out there that I would like. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's been around the block for a while. Mm-hmm. He's a mobile quarterback. He's competent. I like him as a backup quarterback. I think I would like him better just because he's not a guy that I think is still trying to make it into the league. I think he understands his role. Whereas Kenny Pickett, I mean, maybe he's cool with being the backup and he understands that. I mean, he at least understands that when he's coming over to the Raiders, but you can't tell me that this guy still doesn't have aspirations of being the starting quarterback for whatever team now. Mm-hmm. But DTR, he understands, hey, I'm a backup. I'm good with it. Just whenever my number's called, I'll be there. I like him. I like Tyler Huntley. Taylor Heinicke would have been interesting.
By the way, funny you say that name. He got cut today from the Chargers, so he would have been available.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I actually looked at all the cuts and see who cut quarterbacks and like, okay, would I want them? I put Brett Ripon on here, CJ Beathard. I don't know if I would necessarily go with them. Hendon Hooker is kind of the same situation as Kenny Pickett. I think he still is trying to at least be a starting quarterback. And honestly, we haven't really seen him in an NFL game, so we don't necessarily know if he could or not. So that one's hard. But like, my question to you is, do you think the Raiders should have gone after a free agent, or do you think they should have traded and made a trade still? And then who would you have wanted them to like trade for, or some names that you would like to go after?
Honestly, with like draft picks, it's tough. Like, I have a hard time selling on the idea. Like, if we were going to get rid of a draft pick, I would have liked to have acquired like a position of need. And and again, I say that saying, knowing that we need a backup quarterback. I'm acknowledging that for backup quarterback, I probably would have just signed somebody rather than give up a draft pick. For a draft pick, I probably would have given up like for a safety position, for cornerback, maybe a D lineman. I probably would have given up draft pick for that. But I don't think I would have necessarily gone with giving up a 5th round pick for Kenny Pickett, a backup quarterback. I probably would have just said, hey, Ryan Tannehill, are you in shape? I probably would have called up Tyler Heinicke because he just got off of an NFL roster. So he's gone through training camp. He's in shape. He's probably just needs to get, acclimated to the playbook, and he would have been okay to be in there. I wouldn't, the only other quarterback I might have been like, okay, I get it, would have been like Mitch Trubisky. I think right now he's in Buffalo. I would have understood that, but I'm really not like still for a backup quarterback to trade for one is a little like, I think we can just sign one, Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we picked up Desmond Ridder free agency in the middle of the season when we had Gardner Minshew and AOC injured. I don't know why we weren't a little bit more like, I think we can probably make it work with a free agent that's out there rather than spend a draft pick on a Browns quarterback that probably would have been cut anyways.
That's my thought is I'm not sure he makes the cut. So that's why the Browns are doing it. They got a 5th round pick out of a guy that they were probably already going to cut. I don't mind it if it's after the cuts and then they're like, okay, we like Kenny Pickett because X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. You look through all the free agents. Maybe it wasn't a good fit for you. But I'd like to at least think that you went through everything because most of them probably already knew, okay, this player's probably definitely going to get cut. He's going to be available. And maybe they didn't think there was going to be some of these guys, but I just don't understand like why the sudden move.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm not understanding. Maybe it's just one less person that the Browns have to cut, but then like, why are you giving up a 5th round pick to help out the Browns? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. So, and then my other question would be, was there discussions about Shedeur Sanders? Because to me, that makes a little more sense in the sense of now we may not have to go and draft a quarterback next year because we have a guy that we want to come in for Geno Smith when Smith is done with the Raiders or maybe even next year. Hey, listen, Smith wasn't great this year. Shedeur, it's your time. That would be interesting, but I just feel like this. I agree with you. I feel like this was a panic move, and it's very strange to me.
Yeah, honestly, with the whole Shedeur Sanders question, I would have probably been more pissed off if the Raiders did give up a draft pick to acquire Shedeur Sanders, only because
it would have been a higher pick.
Well, it's not even the higher pick. He was drafted in what, the 5th or the 6th round? The 6th round, right? Or no, he was in the 5th round, right?
Yeah.
If that was the case, why didn't we draft him then? We literally had 2 picks in the 6th round. Neither of them made the 53-man roster, probably going to make the practice squad, which, by the way, shout out to LV Raider 10 right over here. He mentioned the exact same thing. But back to my point, like if we really wanted Shedeur Sanders, we would have drafted him. And if I found out that the Raiders then flipped a draft pick to acquire Shedeur Sanders, I think I'd have felt a different kind of way. Because, like, listen, Shedeur Sanders has no NFL experience outside of preseason. Sure, he's mobile, but if you really wanted Shedeur Sanders to learn behind Geno Smith, which, by the way, you and I both said before the draft earlier this year that we should look to get Shedeur Sanders, have him sit and learn and then grow and all that stuff.
Yep.
We both said that. So for the Raiders, if they were to have gone and given a draft pick, again, to the Browns, which this is the same team we already dealt with, to then get Sanders, I'd have been almost more frustrated because why didn't we just draft him then?
Yeah.
Why did we let him go to another team, give that team a draft pick to get the same player we could have got in the NFL draft, who, by the way, he fell like several different rounds. If we wanted him, we could have flipped different year picks to get a pick up right there to get him. We missed out on Shedeur Sanders because maybe it's us, So for us to then give a pick over to like correct our mistakes, I'd have been frustrated with that. Like, we really doesn't look like we know what we're doing. Like, Spytek,
you are frustrated with that.
It's like, look, Tom Brady, you said your guy Spytek was good. I don't know what that was, but that was kind of that was horse shit. That could have been so much better. So I think if it was a Shedeur Sanders thing, again, if we added Shedeur Sanders because he was cut, I'd get it. But to trade for Shedeur Sanders as if he's going to be the backup, to me, I'd have been like, okay, Raiders, what are we doing here? Which again, Kenny Pickett makes me feel like that, but at least he's got NFL experience. We kind of know what we're getting with Pickett. Again, a mid quarterback at best. Shedeur Sanders, he's a project. We don't have time for a project, especially if Geno gets injured. So,
yeah, I agree. It's something that I feel like needs to be brought up because it was with the Browns. So, of course, Shedeur is in the topic when you talk about the Browns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Like it would be very frustrating. And then you give up a pick and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think the moral of the story is wait until the cuts and then make your decision. If you want to tell me that the best decision was Kenny Pickett, that's fine. But wait. It doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah.
Anyway.
I agree.
All right. So let's go from the NFL game and let's talk about a little bit of college because, I am going to Fresno State now. So I wanted to support the Bulldogs, and I wish I didn't because they were not very good.
They did not show up very much on Saturday.
They got crushed in the first game against Kansas. Now, Kansas has a 6-year quarterback, which
I was going to say that guy's been there for a minute.
By the way, I thought you just got like an extra year. I didn't know you get 2 extra years. Jeez.
Well, you remember last year there was that one player who he had a 10-year college career, and half of that was because obviously COVID year was technically a redshirt year. He got injured a couple of different times, but I remember that there was a feature on SportsCenter to honor this. I think he was like a tight end in college because he was playing his last year of eligibility. He was a senior and he literally played for 10 years in college football. Like he's a 10-year vet and he's still playing college. And I don't think he got in the NFL, but there's just so many circumstances to where he got like an extra year of eligibility for injury or whatever. And I just remember ESPN did a feature on him like, golly, dude, 10 years. I hope you got a doctorate degree out of that because you're still there, huh?
A lot of people go to school for 8 years. Yeah, I know. They're called doctors. I'm glad you know where that's from.
Yeah, for those watching, if you know what that movie's from, put it in the comments. It's a way back movie.
Oh, God, it's my favorite movie of all time. All right, so, first of all, I will shout out Jalen Daniels, the quarterback for Kansas, although I think it's wild that he's a 6-year guy. He's a good quarterback. He is a guy who I think is at least going to get a chance in the NFL, maybe a backup, but he's going to get on an NFL team for sure. Just because he has a lot of experience, he's had a lot of quarterback play, so he's going to get a shot. So he's a NFL caliber quarterback. So on the first drive, Kansas went down almost without restriction. From the Bulldogs, and marched down. And then the Bulldogs kind of did the same. Had a really good drive to start, rushed it in for a touchdown. With Elijah Gilliam, who played last year for the Bulldogs as well. So it looked like it was going to be a tight game, but after that, it was not. Kansas completely dominated. Some things that I kind of took away was the Bulldogs had no answer for Daniels. Absolutely zero answer for Daniels. He did what he when he wanted. Most of his rushes that he had, I think he was the third leading rusher. Yeah, he was the third leading rusher for the Kansas for the whole game. Just behind 2 of their really top running backs. And a lot of it was they're playing man-to-man. There's no pass rush, of course. And the linebackers who maybe should be spying are not paying attention, or even if they're in zone, they're not paying attention to Daniels. And they would keep dropping back and dropping back and dropping back. And he just had a wide open running area. He had the longest rush he had was 23 yards. So he was running at will whenever he wanted to, whenever he felt like it, and it worked to perfection. Mm-hmm. In the second half, they did a little bit better, but I would argue that the Jayhawks went from, all right, drop back and pass. If it's not there, then run. They went more, we're just going to straight up run the football, and I think it kind of worked to the Bulldogs' advantage a little bit. But unfortunately, offense really stalled. After the first drive, really didn't have much. E.J. Warner, we've all heard it now, Kurt Warner's son. He had a lackluster game. A lot of it, I wouldn't say, is on him. I watched the offensive line play pretty terrible. E.J. Warner really did a good job of not. He got sacked 3 times. Probably could have been way more, if I'm being truthful. But he made one bad throw that was an interception, and it was all. I mean, he was getting rushed, so I'll give him that. But he shouldn't have thrown it. He tried to make a play, didn't work out. Kind of killed the drive. But it was a 3rd down play. There was really no one open, so if he takes a sack there, would have killed the drive anyway. So it wasn't like that big of a deal, I remember at the time. And then the second interception he threw bounced off the receiver and went right into the hands of a defender. So that one was not on him. That was more on the receiver. So it was a rough go for everyone, unfortunately, with the Bulldogs. But some positives that I did see from Fresno State, the running game was starting to get going. They wanted to run the football, and they made sure that they ran. And this is a critique and also kind of a positive. They wanted to keep running, and they did keep running until, they were starting to get some good momentum. But at the same time, the play calls were 1st down, run. 2nd down, run. 3rd down, okay, Warner, do what you can do. And Kansas gets to do is every time it was a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, something like that. It was every single time. And it was like, okay, EJ, do your thing. And it was like, first of all, now you're in a position where we can't have a short yardage pass play. It's got to be a long pass play, and our offensive line has not been able to prove that they can even block that right now. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, now Kansas is going, yeah, you got to throw deep, so we got time to blitz, so we're going to blitz. And that's exactly what they did. And it was every single possession. So for me, the play calling needs to be better. I understand you want to establish the run. I understand that E.J. Warner still a new-ish quarterback, especially to this system, to these receivers, to the running backs. Our bread and butter is the run game, and Matt Entz, the head coach, that's what he likes to do. He likes to run the football. But for God's sakes, throw in a pass play every now on 1st down, and then see what comes about that, and then decide whether you're going to run on 2nd down or it should be a pass again. Because my wife was starting to get frustrated with me because I was like, babe, watch this. It's going to be a run. And she was like, and then they would run the football. And I was like, that's crazy, right? I called it. And she was like, you're so stupid. But, I mean, for real, though, it became predictable. It was a predictable offense. They obviously wanted to establish the run, which I get. But when you're getting down and down and down and down, and you're not giving your quarterback any confidence because you're not throwing in pass plays that are going to make it easy for him. You are making it harder on him by putting him in a 3rd and 7 situation. And you can make the argument, quarterback, he's got to, that's where he shows how talented he is. Yes, but you also have to make him be confident in that. You can't always have a 3rd and 7 and then expect him to be able to make these plays all the time. It's just it's not winning football, and it was a little disheartening. It was a predictable offense. Defense was not great. Second half they were a lot better. I mean, Kansas is arguably a better team in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They have so much experience. The head coach has been there for a while now. The quarterback's been there for almost
6 seasons,
over half a century. I'm sorry, a decade. Sorry, that's going too far. But I mean, for real, I mean, it was a little disheartening, and I do think that, like I said, Kansas is a better team. They have a lot more experience than what the Fresno State team has, and Fresno State has a lot of change that has happened. So, of course, this was going to be a bump in the road. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, if they look like that against Georgia Southern, Bulldog fans are not going to be happy.
No, and I'm forgetting the name of the new head coach. I know he was the North Dakota State head coach last season. Matt Entz. He needs to do a better job. And I don't know who's coaching the defense. They need to step it up because it was a poor defensive showing, no resistance. I get it. Kansas has a really good offense and they beat them in a bunch of different ways, but you can't have the quarterback go 18 for 20 and you can't have the Jayhawks run the ball 40 times and have 300 rushing yards alone. You need to have a little bit more resistance. As far as the offense, like, you know, I think it's a new system, obviously. It's not anything like what Tedford ever coached. You have EJ first year coming in here, Warner, he played with Rice, so he's got to learn a different playbook all over again, kind of get familiar with different setup. So I think what makes this tough about Fresno State is their offensive line is not great, and they're playing in a division that is, sorry, my camera is like really out of focus for some reason. That's my camera. That's not you. But anyway, so, you know, with Fresno State, a lot of things need to change. And honestly, last year when we played against Michigan, we put up a better fight than that. And that was Michigan coming off of a national championship. And we showed better against them than we did against the Jayhawks. And as far as I can remember, KU didn't even have that great of a season last year. They had an okay season, but not enough to where they should have beat up on us 31-7. And that just shows like a poor preparation for the Bulldogs. And I don't think Bulldog Pride is going to want that to continue. Like there's too much legacy to have a showing like that against competition. So,
and I'm not sitting here going Matt Entz needs to be fired. I'm not saying that. No.
It's one game.
Obviously,
it's one game.
he needs time.
Yeah.
But it was a little disheartening that it was the same thing over and over. And, you know, the cliche, you know, everyone says this now is, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's kind of what it felt like. It just felt like it was like, dude, it's not working. Change it up.
Yeah.
Like if you want to talk about like, hey, these quarterbacks look great. And that's what you're talking about all off season and you're not using them. It's a little like, okay, so maybe that's the coaching staff saying, hey, we still don't trust these quarterbacks or we don't trust EJ fully yet. Or maybe it's just like, nope, we're going to be stubborn. We want to do this. So that way we're prepared for next game. Who knows? Maybe that was the case, but it was a little strange. It's a little strange. And I was getting really frustrated and my son was even like, Dad, what happened? And I was like, Fresno State is not doing well. He's like, Dad, why are they running? I was like, I know, Cameron. I know. I love it. So when he watches sports and like I get upset, he sometimes wants to like I don't know, like get in on it with me. And so he was like, yeah, why? They're just running. I know, Cam. I know. These damn guys.
Yep.
So anyway, but hopefully Fresno State comes out a lot better against Georgia Southern. It's going to be here in Fresno, so I'm really stoked about that. Kind of want to go to the game, but we'll see. I haven't even looked up how much tickets are. Well,
you have a student discount, so I'm not.
Yeah, but then I have to sit in the student section and I'm like, hey, let's go Bulldogs.
Where's my teeth, everybody? Anyways, all right, we're gonna shift gears onto another sport, Formula One. But I do want to acknowledge some of these comments here. So shout out, we got Alec M. Thank you for suggesting either Trask or Huntley. I agree, much better than a 5th round pick for Pickett. And then we have this one, should go for DTR. Yeah, I think upside, Chip Kelly. Yeah, I agree. Small hands. Yeah, no one excites me with small hands either, bud. So anyways, so Formula.
We have a president with small hands, okay?
Okay. All right, so some F1 news here, Drew. Of course, our favorite sport. We have Cadillac that's going to be joining the grid in 2026.
A true American team on the grid, baby.
Yeah, and it was announced that we've got some foreign drivers here for it. So we have Sergio Perez Checo, who will be driver 1, and then Bottas, who will be driver 2 for the
Bottas,
who will be driver 2 for the Cadillac team. Does this make sense for the new American team?
So first of all, I'm stoked for Cadillac. I might become a Cadillac fan. First and foremost, I love Checo. If my wife is a huge Checo fan.
Yeah, she is.
She will leave me if Checo ever was like, "Hey, leave your husband." She would be like, in a heartbeat, no
Done.
question. Yeah, here's the papers. So she definitely would. But no, yeah, she's a big Checo fan. He's, the Mexican driver. If you go to Mexico and you tell anyone, "Hey, do you know who Sergio Perez is?" They'll probably go on for an hour about what he does for Mexico. He is so huge, not only in F1 in the sport, but just in Mexico in general. Just like he is. I am pretty sure. I remember hearing. Oh man. I remember him hearing that he earns the most off track than any other driver. And the reason being is because the Mexican fan base for F1 is so big and Sergio Perez is so well liked that everyone loves Checo. And so I'm really stoked about him coming back. First of all, coming back to F1, because as what we're seeing right now in the season now, if you don't watch F1, you don't know. But as we're seeing now with Red Bull, who he was with last year, and everyone kept saying, "Well, Checo, there's something wrong with him. He doesn't have it anymore. He's lost it." And now we're seeing Liam Lawson come in. And literally after 2 races, they were like, "Yeah, you're done, dude. That was awful." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well maybe it's just Liam Lawson."
No,
and
Red Bull has had been some interesting team this year. So
yes, and then they throw in Yuki, who's doing really well for the Racing Bulls. He comes to the Red Bull team, and as the number 2 driver, and he can't do squat in this car. And then they're like, "Okay, well, maybe it's the car." And so Checo's like, "That's what I've been saying for the past 2 years, and everyone wants to say it's my fault." So I am so happy for Sergio Perez to come back. And I love that he's getting the opportunity to be the number 1 driver for a team, because I do feel like his talent is still there where he still is a number 1 driver. So I'm very happy. And then Valtteri Bottas, I'll talk about it in a minute, but I think this is the right move. They want someone who is universally loved. First of all, dude is like popular just from Drive to Survive. That dude is like one of the most chillest guys ever. He's such a vibe, and also he's one of the more experienced drivers. He was the number 2 to Lewis Hamilton for. Basically the 7-8 years that Lewis Hamilton was winning championships, Bottas was right there. So I really, really like these. I think this is a great move for Cadillac overall. And I understand the vision. I understand what they're doing. And I'm going to kind of beat you to the question here. Because I've been seeing a lot of people saying like, "Oh, they should have went with younger drivers," or "Why didn't they go after like an American driver? Like, how come, we're going with Valtteri Bottas, who's probably out of his prime, and Sergio Perez, who's been out of the grid for a year?" Well, the thing is kind of already what I've been saying. Checo is arguably one of the most popular F1 drivers out there. So that's already going to be with a brand new team to F1, not just a team that is looking to try and make a run again. It's a brand new team. So what do they need? They're going to need money. They're going to need sponsors. They're going to have to bring it in somehow, some way. And let's be honest, the car may not be the best. Maybe it'll be really good. We don't know. But again, we have no idea. It's way too early right now. So with Checo coming in, that's already bringing in a ton of money just from fan base, just because of likeness. Then you add Valtteri Bottas, who, again, like I said, is very well liked with all the drivers and with fans. he is one of the more popular drivers when it comes to just a guy that when you watch Drive to Survive, you want to see what he's going to say or what he's going to do, because he is just that cool of a guy, and everyone wants to see what Bottas is doing. He's been a reserve driver this whole year for Mercedes, and he's still out there doing whatever he needs to do for Mercedes, and Mercedes is still one of the more popular brands out there. So this is why it makes sense. You bring in a young driver, they're not going to know exactly what the car needs. Maybe you might get lucky where this guy just already knows what he wants, but I don't think there's a guy out there right now. So you get a guy who's been through a ton of races, both guys. They have a ton of experience. They've been with championship teams, so they know what it takes to win. So when they're out there test driving this car and they go, hey, the car needs this, I'm feeling this, we need to change this. Like, hey, we're getting that feedback right away. We know what's wrong. We know what will work for the driver. We know what's going to help our team be more competitive. I think this is the right move. And Valtteri Bottas, by the way, is like a quali god. He's just weirdly good in qualifier, and that's usually where he tops out at. But so he might push the car to the limit in qualifier. But Checo is one of those. He's exactly what Max Verstappen is right now, where he's an aggressive driver. And that's why, honestly, why Checo and Max didn't get along when they were on the same team, because a lot of the times they're both trying to fight to get that first spot. And, Max is a little bit younger. I think he is a more talented driver, but Checo is not far behind. And so I think this just makes sense money-wise for Cadillac. I think it makes a ton of sense for sponsorships for Cadillac. And also on the grid, you want guys who are experienced not to wreck your car, because, again, you're going to need a lot of money if that car gets wrecked. And a young driver is not going to be experienced, and they're going to have some wrecks. So when you have a guy who can be aggressive but also is experienced, he's going to know when to make that move and when not to make that move. I think this is like the perfect move for Cadillac.
Sure. I think, like what you said, to initially get this team going, I would not be surprised, though, if Cadillac is in the running for Verstappen, when his deal is up. I think is in 2017 or 2027, I think is when he's eligible, or he's going to have a contract renewal. And with his relationship with Red Bull, who knows how that's going to go, because it's very interesting. But I think initially for Checo, Bottas, I think that's a great two-man team. Honestly, to the second part of this about why not have an American driver, there are no good American drivers at all. So the only American driver that made it to the grid, and I think raced with Williams, is, what was the kid's name?
Logan Sargent.
I don't even think he's on the grid anymore, right?
No, he's not.
Okay, so
there's some young American drivers in F2 that a lot of people are like, well, why not? But again, it kind of goes to your point. They're not. Even Logan Sargent wasn't really ready to go on the grid.
And I think I know why. It's because, I think this is because it's more of a European forward sport. It's not an American sport, and
it's brand new to America, basically.
Yeah, it's literally since Drive to Survive came out in 2018 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So when it came out, then that's when it was introduced. But even still, like, there's NASCAR, there's the other race series that happen in America. Formula One is a European sport, not to disrespect it. That's just the truth of it. Like, in Europe, that's where you have rich families that invest. Yeah, that's your sport. That's how you make it, quote unquote. So that's why there's no American driver, because it's not like you can put whatever American driver in a Formula One car. Is not the same thing. So anyways, but I'm actually really excited for Cadillac. I'm curious to see how they'll be on the grid. And I think Ford is supposed to be on the grid in 2028, I think.
I believe they're trying to. I'm not sure if they're for sure going to get it in. But
so, yeah. So they'll have Williams, they'll have Cadillac, potentially 3 American teams. Probably no American drivers on either of those teams whenever they come forward. But
hopefully when Cadillac comes to the grid,
We
Mhm.
can stop saying that Haas is an American team. Literally,
Haas,
the
not
owner.
Williams. Sorry, Haas.
Yeah, literally, Gene Haas, who is an American, is the owner. That's the only American part of this whole team.
Yeah.
And that was kind of they're like, oh no, we're the American team, and their headquarters are in England, and it's like, all right,
Well,
on.
everyone is in Silver Springs, right? Or whatever. Silverstone. Everyone's
or around
headquartered
there.
Yeah, everyone has to be because that's where F1 is headquartered itself. So you have to be in the general areas. So, so all right, you got anything else to add on to the Formula One topic?
Well, the last question was, do I think they're going to be competitive? I don't think they're going to be. I mean, I think they might have some good races here and there where you're like, oh, okay. But listen, this is a brand new car. It's going to be trial and error. So they might have a really good car one week, and then the next week it's not very good.
I'm calling it right now. They're going to be a bottom 5 team. They're not.
Oh,
they'll barely have points. I'll be surprised if they finish with more than like 50 points.
I just hope that they're not
generous.
last. I don't think they will be last because right now Alpine, the way they're going right now, it's weird, and they're probably going to be last this year, which is kind of crazy. But I'm just hoping that Cadillac is not last. But if they are, I wouldn't be that surprised. I think I'd be more surprised if they were like in the top 3 or even in the top 4. I'd be like, what the heck? But I think they're going to be more closer to like middle bottom. I don't think they're going to be the worst team because I think Checo is very good, and I do think Bottas does still have something left in the tank and like I said, he's a quality god, so he'll get in Q3 some random race, and you're gonna be like, whoa, Cadillac. So I think they're too talented to be last.
Sure. I mean, talented is one thing. I think that they're experienced enough to where they can finagle some points around here, but Checo also drives like he's got to go for first, or he's got to take out the field. So, you know what I mean? He lives.
You don't disrespect Checo, okay?
Yeah, he lives his life a quarter mile at a time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, anyways, all right, let's move on to some baseball. We got NL West rundown right now, Drew. So let's quickly go through this. So. Obviously, Dodgers and Padres are fighting for the number 1 spot. Our Giants, unfortunately, doesn't look like they're in the race right now.
We're not even talking about them anymore.
Yeah.
It's only going to make me mad.
As of right now, the Dodgers are up in the division. But who do you think ends the season as the NL West champions?
I think it's going to be the Dodgers because they hold the tiebreaker, first of all. Because they're not going to play the Padres anymore in this season. So they won the season series. They swept the Padres like twice this year, which I was like, oh shoot. When I was looking at it, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, they won the season series against the Padres 9-3. So the Dodgers hold the tiebreaker there. And they're already up by 1 game. I think a lot of people are panicking because they thought the Dodgers were going to be the greatest team. But what I kind of feel like the Dodgers have been doing is they're kind of coasting. Like they're like, hey, we're trying some things out. Like, for example, they're putting Ohtani out there to pitch, and he hasn't been fantastic, but he's also been throwing like, if he were just a pitcher and not a hitter, he would probably still be in the minors rehabbing his injury. And I think a lot of people kind of forget about that. And so I think what they're doing is they're kind of having him rehab in the majors, which kind of will balloon your ERA up a little bit. And so I think people are panicking about the wrong things. But this is why it goes back to what you and I had been saying for a long time now, where maybe put him as the closer. But again, right now he's rehabbing, so it's kind of hard to be like, hey, we're going to trust you with the closing situation because your arm seems to be fine. The guy is still throwing gas. His pitches are there. I think his command has been a little wishy-washy, but again, that's what you expect when it comes to rehab and when you're throwing high velocity and you're trying to get the feel back. I mean, essentially, he really hasn't pitched competitively in almost like a year and a half. It seems like. So, you're trying to get him back to speed. There's going to be hiccups. But here's the thing. They're getting healthy. I mean, Tyler Glasnow is back. I think Blake Snell's done. I don't think he's coming back, if I'm not mistaken. But they've seemed to be fine. Roki Sasaki looks like he's going to be out too. But Yamamoto has been really good. He's pitched really good. I just feel like, and then when you talk about the lineup, you could look at Mookie Betts and go, oh, he hasn't been like the Mookie Betts of old. But when he's in the playoffs, are you really going to be like, no, he sucked this year, so I'm not worried? You're going to be like, no, it's still Mookie Betts. Like, he knows how to hit. So, Freddie Freeman, he knows how to hit. So that's still going to be a dangerous lineup. It's still going to be a dangerous pitching rotation. And honestly, their bullpen has been a little worse than I thought they were going to be. But I feel like their lineup is so dominant that you're not really worried about the bullpen as much, just because you always, like, if you go down one run, like, I would feel so good if I'm up on the Dodgers by 5 runs. If it's 4 or less, I'm not feeling great. And that's just because of the star power that they have in that batting lineup. So I think the Dodgers are going to win the series, or the NL West. I just think that the Padres, although they've made a ton of ground up, I feel like the Dodgers are just kind of like playing with certain things, just trying to see what works. And unfortunately, probably did it too long, and we're like, oh crap, the Padres are here. All right, let's start kicking it back into gear, because now all of a sudden they're starting to do well again.
I think what makes it difficult for the Dodgers is, honestly, in September, they're going to have kind of an easier schedule. They've got Pirates, they got Orioles, they got Rockies. They even have us. I'm going to put us in the easy category. But then they close out the series with the Phillies. Then we, again, go to them. Then they close it out with the Diamondbacks and the Mariners, who I think both teams will be playing for something, I think. So I think the Dodgers are going to get a run for their money, at least with that. Whereas if I go look at the September games for the Padres, we got the Orioles, we got the Rockies, we got the Reds. Reds are competitive. Go back to the Rockies. Now we got the Mets. There's something there. White Sox, Brewers are red hot right now. And then we have the Diamondbacks to close out. So I feel like it's an even split. But, I mean, if this was a question of who do I trust more in the playoffs, I'm going to say the Dodgers. But I would not be surprised if the Padres eke out to be the NL West champions, only because let's just assume that they get on a little bit of a streak. Let's say the Dodgers rest some guys, get healthy. I think the Dodgers go into like a wild card game and they beat whoever easily, get into the NLDS, win easily, and then we'll probably end up meeting somebody in the NLCS. And I think that would be the path. Now, granted, do they want to go that way to play extra baseball? Probably not. But again, like what you said with their starting rotation, they're getting some guys back healthy. But as we know in baseball, in order to be an effective team, you need to have like 3 true starters that could come in, deliver 6 to 7 innings of good quality baseball, have your closer, which they have a closer. And it's like, for the Dodgers, who is that third guy? Is it Kershaw? Is it Shohei? If Shohei is still rehabbing for a majority of this season, or at least the remaining of it, how ready is he going to be come the postseason when we hit October, So, but we're not talking about October. We're just talking about the NL West. I think that the Padres could find a way to sneak it out. And I'm not saying that they would tie and then the Padres, don't get it because of the tie. I'm saying like Padres would have a couple of game leads over the Dodgers, because the Dodgers have a pretty competitive schedule to end the season. The final 15 games are going to be all competitive. And I'm hard pressed to see the Dodgers go on a 20-game winning streak in September. But I could see the Padres, who every year at the end of the season, for some reason, catch lightning. And then all of a sudden they seem like the most unstoppable team. And they made a lot of moves during the trade deadline to where it feels like if there's ever a time to put a run together, it would be come September. So I will just say, like, I think you're right with the Dodgers in general. You're the baseball guy. I'm not, but I would not be surprised if the Padres, with how their schedule lines up in the series upcoming, they find a way to eke ahead.
This is just classic Padres. I mean, they are always like towards the end, they're just like one of the best teams. Everyone's like, man, look out for the Padres. And then they go in October and they're like, ooh, okay, well, they're still not great.
They disappear for 80% of the season and they show up in the final month and a half, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
postseason, they take a dump in the field.
Yeah.
That's what it always turns out to be.
I mean, further than our Giants, I'll say that, but still, though, like if there's ever a team that I feel like could catch fire and momentum wise, I think the Padres, in my opinion. So that's what I'll say.
Yeah. I am reading that the Dodgers put Alex Vesia, who's been their most reliable reliever. They placed him on the IL, so that's not great, but that gives him a chance to come back just before October, where he can kind of work it out a little bit in some game situations, and then come October, he'll be ready. And then also Roki Sasaki, I'm sorry, I thought he was going to be, or I guess it looked like he was going to be out for the year. They weren't really sure, but now he's on his third rehab start, and they said there's more signs of improvement on his third rehab start. So maybe good news, bad news for the Dodgers. I'm not sure. I think that actually does not help them, if I'm being honest. Like Roki Sasaki helps them, but losing Alex Vesia, I think, is a bigger deal.
Are we out on Tanner Scott? Is that why?
No, I just think, I mean, Alex Vesia has been there all year. He hasn't been hurt, and they've had to rely on him a lot. Where Tanner Scott, I mean, he's been good since he's been there, but I think he started off the season.
He started off hot. He cooled off a lot. I think he was on the trading block for a while, but they ultimately kept him. I mean, I understand the closer part, but I think Tanner Scott can hold down the fort until everyone gets healthy. I think he can do that. He did that for the Padres last year, so
we'll see.
Or was it last year or 2 years ago or whatever?
No, I'm pretty sure it was last year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else? So we touched base on the NL West. What's going on with the Giants, man? What are we doing next year?
It's a good question. I think Bob Melvin is out. Who do you think we look to replace him with? Well, a lot of Giants fans are hoping that we go after Bruce Bochy, which would be cool, I guess. It would make sense because Buster Posey obviously has a relationship with Bruce Bochy. But I don't think that's the route we should go. That's just me. I would rather go after someone else who's going to be there for a while, because Bruce Bochy, albeit I don't think he would retire in like 2-3 years, I don't see the Rangers, first of all, letting him go. Right. And secondly, if he were to come back to the Giants, I'm not sure he's there long enough to fix whatever the issue is with the Giants. And what I think we need to focus on more is we need outfielders. Elliot Ramos has been a good player for us, but his defense is horrendous. And it was kind of covered up because Mike Yastrzemski was there, and now he's not. And now we've had to call up Luis Matos, who he's okay in the outfield. He's not great either. Jung-Woo Lee is pretty solid, but he's still having trouble in San Francisco, specifically during day games. He has a lot of issues. So offense, specifically outfielders, we really, really need. And I hope that's what the Giants go after next year, because there's not too many guys in our organization that I'm like ecstatic about for outfield. So we're going to have to get someone. We're going to have to go after, and we should have, if we were buying, should have made a play for like Mike Trout. I don't think he would have left, if I'm being honest, just because I think he wants to retire an Angel, which I get. Like, that's cool. I totally can understand that. But I just feel like we need an outfielder. It's getting kind of bad, and a lot of people are a little upset, like Matt Chapman. But like he just came off of injury, and now he's starting to hit really well. And a lot of people are like, well, he's still got a pretty big contract. Like, I think Matt Chapman is fine. At least his contract is worth just his defense alone. And that hasn't gotten worse.
I mean, what other player were we going to replace him with? I mean, no offense to those that are saying, his contract.
A lot of people were like, well, why not just put Devers there?
But
Get rid of Chapman, and then you can go get a first baseman.
Why can't we keep them all? Why can't Devers just go to DH? Why do we have to put Devers at third base? Chapman's the better third baseman. What are we talking about?
Well, because the numbers say that Devers hits better when he's playing in the field.
Okay, didn't we have this whole thought experiment with Shohei about he does good at pitching and hitting, but when he's solely focused on hitting, he was elite. So why can't Devers just be that?
That's what I'm saying, but the numbers do back it up. So they don't want to just use him strictly with DH. So I understand that, but Chapman is okay on third, and I think they're okay with that. I don't think that's going to change. I think that's just more fans are like, well, Chapman is kind of expensive and he's an older guy. It's like, just leave him alone. Put Devers at first, but Bryce Eldridge, who is the top or one of the top prospects for the Giants, I think he is the top one. He is a first baseman, but you could platoon him and Devers. Like, okay, one of you guys play DH and one of you plays first base. Okay, then you guys swap here and there. I think that would be fine. And honestly, Devers actually has looked decent at first base. He's had a couple of rough games, but overall, he's actually been doing well. And he got an RBI today too that I was watching. So I think Devers is fine now. I think everyone's kind of happy that he's here, but we're gonna have to do something because we're not going to trade for Devers and then do nothing with him for the remaining of his contract.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if during the offseason we see a lot of unloading of that talent that we've been hoarding when we had Gabe Kapler and Bob Melvin. I wouldn't be surprised if we start unloading those to get players that can help us today, which means that I can see us try to be competitive next year.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not much about baseball, but I don't understand why maybe we don't test the waters of what does Devers look like in the outfield? Like,
no, he's too slow. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, he wouldn't work.
Well, have him get on a weight program.
It was an issue to get him at first base. So
yeah. Well, which is why I'm like, just let him go to DH. Just let him go to DH. Why? I don't know why.
He doesn't want to.
I'm missing
that's why.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't want to. He wants to go in the field.
Read the room, bud. Like Matt Chapman's the better third baseman. No offense. Not the bat wise. I would agree. You're
that's
better
why. I think that's why he's okay with when he came to the Giants. He was like, "Yeah, I'll go to first base," because I think he understands. Like, listen, Chapman defensively is the better third baseman, and I think
right.
I don't know if he'll ever admit that, but I'm sure he's like, yeah. And if I want to play in the field, like I'm going to have to go to first base because they're not going to pull Chapman.
No offense, but Devers is a good player. I just don't think he's third baseman defense good. Like,
no,
Chapman's got that unlocked.
I would still be okay him going to third base here and there. Like, I feel like they should like throw him out there every now and then just because
give Chapman a day off.
Yeah,
give Chapman a day off.
But they keep wanting to put Casey Schmidt over there, who's a really good defender too. But it's just like, maybe throw him out there. Let him think that he's still going to be a third baseman.
Throw him out there against like the Rockies or something, What's he going to hurt? Nobody, All right, Drew, let's close out the show. Give us your top 7 power rankings. And this is your note by an unqualified man. So go ahead, man. Feed me your top 7.
People think that I'm like, I don't know. The way people go at me on some of these is
that's
like
true. Yes, you do get ironically a lot of hate.
I'm not sitting here going, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm just sitting here giving you my opinion. So, but anyway, so the number 1 team right now, I still have the Brewers, even though trouble is a brewing. I know.
What a dad joke.
They've been slowing down quite a bit lately. So I think their magic is starting to kind of wear off a little bit. They won today against Arizona, 9-8. So, that's kind of close. But the Brewers have been the top team for a while. They went on a crazy winning streak. I think it was 14 games was the highest it went to. But they're starting to slow down, and that makes me nervous about playoff time. But as of right now, they're arguably, or I would say they're the best team in baseball right now. They're still winning games, still doing a great job. So, excuse me, I have the burps all of a sudden. I would say the Brewers, I mean, unless the Cubs, Dodgers, Phillies, whoever start winning like uncontrollably, I feel like the Brewers are going to probably end up being the top team in Major League Baseball. So my number 2 team is the Chicago Cubs. Now, this might come to a lot of people as a surprise. A lot of these I went with point differential. A lot of these. So if I were between two teams, like, oh, maybe I should put them, I looked at the point differential and I went with the Chicago Cubs. They are, out of every Major League Baseball team, they are the number 2 team when it comes to point differential, just behind the Milwaukee Brewers, who are plus 161. The Cubs are plus 162. They have 76 wins, 55 losses. They're 5.5 games behind the Brewers. The Cubs had kind of plateaued a little bit when the Brewers were just constantly winning, but the Cubs have not lost their momentum, and in their last 10 games, they're 8-2. Of course, ironically, they just lost to the Giants today, so that goes out the window. But no, I think this team is still a really good team. This is a really good team, and they're going to be scary in the playoffs. I don't think they have what it takes to get into the World Series, if I'm being honest. I think they're a little too young in certain positions, and I still am a little nervous about their pitching. I just don't trust their pitching, and I haven't watched too many Cubs games, so I could be way off, but I don't know. Their pitching makes me nervous, if I'm being honest. So I think their lineup is good. They have a really good lineup, but I think that's their strength of their team. My number 3 team, I have the Los Angeles Dodgers. So they actually don't have as high of a point differential as I would probably like. But like I said, once they started playing it was like all of a sudden they started playing the Padres, and they're like, all right, we're in it. We're in it. We're gonna go now. And so they've still been playing really well. And with all the turmoil, they are a 500 club team away. But when they are home, they are absolutely dominant. They are 42-24. And let me tell you, they're gonna have a home game in the postseason. They're gonna have a home field advantage in the postseason. And I tell you what, this Dodger team is going to be really, really good. This is a really good team. Like I said, Mookie Betts may not have the best of years that he's had in the past, but boy, when he comes up to the plate in October against your best pitcher, I'm still going to trust that Mookie's going to be able to make the move. So the Dodgers are my number 3 team. Number 4 team is the Philadelphia Phillies. I think that kind of goes without saying, if I'm being honest. Like, they've been one of the more consistent teams all year long. They've been really, really good. They have a scary lineup. The pitching's really good. But the only worry that I have going forward is the Zach Wheeler thing. He's done for the year. There's no way he's coming back. And that's so unfortunate, because I really like this Phillies team. And, if there was going to be an NL team that I'm rooting for, if it's not the Giants in there, I'd probably root for the Phillies, just because I would trust them a whole lot. But with Zach Wheeler, and even I forgot who said it. One of their players, or I believe it was their manager, they were like, it's a significant loss for the Phillies. And so that's tough to hear, because you're like, ooh, that's not great. But as of right now, they're still playing really well. So I like the Phillies at number 4. So my number 5 team is the Detroit Tigers. They've been another very consistent team. Point differential is not as high as you would think, but Tarek Skubal, he's been not like lights out like he was last year, but he's still been really, really good. I mean, every time I know he's pitching, I know that he may give up like 2 runs, but he's going to have like 12 strikeouts. So he's still going to be ridiculous. And Riley Green, he just hit a monster of a grand slam today. He hit a 471-foot home run grand slam for them today. So that lineup, they don't have like these big time names, but boy, they're scary good. So I really like the Tigers. Number 6 team, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. To me, the most surprising team coming out of the American League. I was very low on Toronto this year. I did not think they were going to do that great, and they've actually done really well. Now, they're only 4 games above the Red Sox and 4.5 games above the Yankees. And their point differential is only a plus 59, so that does make me a little worried. And just like the Dodgers, their away games, they're 500 as well, 34 and 34. But for some reason, when they're home, they're absolutely crushing it. And so if I'm going to say that about the Dodgers, well, I got to say that about the Blue Jays too, because there's really no denying it right now. They've been surprisingly good. And then my number 7 team, this is going to surprise you because I really wanted to put the Red Sox there, but I'm actually going to go with the Yankees. And like I said, I went with point differential if I was between the 2 teams, and the Yankees do have a higher point differential than the Red Sox, maybe only by 4 runs. It's not that big of a significant, but I do trust. I think the Yankees are a scarier team than the Red Sox, if I'm being honest. I like the Red Sox team, the way they're making it up, but I do think that the Yankees, I would trust them a little bit more. Their pitching is starting to really get there. They just got Luis Gil back. They have another rookie pitcher who started, he had like a really great game, then a really bad game, and then he's been pretty good ever since. And then Carlos Rodon, you have, I don't know how Max Fried has been doing. I did not put up his number, which I completely forgot. So terrible by me, but I do trust the Yankees a little bit more. I trust them as much as I trust Giancarlo Stanton getting a stolen base, though. So, I mean, in October, do I trust them as much? But I do trust them more than the Red Sox just right now. But, hey, I mean, the Red Sox could be dangerous. I mean, the Royals are still kind of in it. Let's see, they're 3.5 games behind. And then the Mariners and Astros. I mean, I could really put any of those teams, but I went with the point differential. And right now, the Yankees, I believe the Yankees are number 3 in point. Yeah, they're the number 3 team in point differential.
Yeah, my only issue with your list would be number 7.
The Yankees,
yeah. The Red Sox should be ahead of them.
Yankees.
Yeah. They're the most overrated team. And you always seem to like find a way to put them and the Dodgers. You're such a homer for the Dodgers for your wife. I get it. For your safety. I got it.
For your safety.
but the Red Sox they won the series 3 out of 4 games in dominant fashion. And you don't have them as the number 7 team, but you're going to sit there and put the Yankees.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Sir.
They have a better away record. 1 game under the Red Sox in home wins. They have a better record away than the Red Sox.
I just think that
again, the point differential.
You look at those pinstripes and you get all weak in the knees. All right, just every time.
It's just, I mean, I put myself on the mound. If I were pitching to Aaron Judge, it's no question I would be super nervous, of course.
Yeah, we're doing this. Take the base.
Get him out of there. But like, even if I were throwing against Giancarlo Stanton versus Alex Bregman, who am I more worried about? I'm honestly going to be more worried about Giancarlo Stanton. I think Alex Bregman would probably get a base hit off. Well, he'd probably crush it either way. But if I were an MLB pitcher, I'm more worried about Giancarlo Stanton. He's able to put 4 runs with one swing more so than Alex Bregman. And that's the big hitter, in my opinion, on the Red Sox right now. Wilyer Abreu was really good, but he got hurt. And since he's been hurt, they haven't been like fantastic. And he was a big part of their offense.
But you know what the Red Sox do really well that the Yankees suck at? Defense. Yankees suck at defense.
I don't know. The Red Sox are very young.
Okay, do you trust the Red Sox defense over the Yankees defense? Yankees don't know how to play baseball.
Are you just basing this off of the World Series?
No, this majority of the season has been not great at all.
I don't know. I mean, they have Paul Goldschmidt. You love Goldie.
I love Goldie, but he's really the only guy. Goldie's my man. He's really fantastic. The only guy, though.
He's fantastic. Still.
He's good. We should look to get him on the Giants. That'd be great. Let's pay for another old guy.
That's what we do every year.
That's what we do. Which young prospect do you guys want?
Yeah, anybody you can take.
You pick
we'll take the guy who only lasts a year, and then it won't pan out for us.
Oh
my gosh. Why do you always got to bring up the Giants? Let's just leave them out. I'm done. I'm so hurt by them this year. They gave me hope with the Devers trade, and I was like, man. And we were like right behind the Dodgers, and then all of a sudden, all right, well, we're still kind of in it with the Dodgers and Padres, and then we fell behind the Diamondbacks, and it was like, what the hell happened?
I mean, the question is who's more to blame, Buster Posey or what's his face, Bob Melvin?
It's Melvin because he keeps throwing in Elliot Ramos in the outfield, and it's like, dude, how many errors does he have to have for you to be like, maybe we should throw him a DH every now and then?
I don't know. Maybe Bob's just trying to get out of there. Who knows?
I know. Maybe he was like, I made my money. We're good.
You know what? I'm already in here. Let's just go.
I like Elliot. He's fun.
Yeah. All right. One last thing, of course, as the big news, Drew, is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce has officially been engaged. And I don't know about you, but my wife's really happy. I mean, we're Swiftie household over here, so we're happy. What do you think of the news?
Well, my wife texted me like she was breaking news. She broke it to me.
Yeah.
I hadn't been on social media all day, and I dropped her off a coffee, and 2 minutes later I get a text, and I go, oh man, let me guess, the coffee is bad or something. So I look at the text, and she's all, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to get home, and then I'll send her a message. So
I'm going to send her congratulations. You think she'll read it? I text my wife as if they're friends that we know, oh, Travis and Taylor are getting married. And she's like, text me back. I know, I saw. Okay, great. Thanks.
And this is why, my wife gets mad. She's like, why didn't you tell me? And I'd be like, because majority of the time, before I do. So yeah. I don't send you anything because every time I send her something, it's like, oh, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I know. So I'm like, I stopped doing that. And then if she'll be like, have you seen this? I'm like, actually, yes, I have. Yeah. And then we have our discussion because otherwise it's just like, yeah, I knew that 3 days ago. And I'm like, well, I just found it on my Instagram now.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad that those two are getting married. I don't know them from Adam, but obviously they're in the public life. And I'll speak for it as a dad. I like to see that the female is the one that's kind of in charge and, you see a healthy relationship, at least on screen. And I did watch the New Heights episode where she was on. I thought it was good. I think she's a very interesting. Yeah, I thought she's a very interesting person. So I don't know them from anybody. I'm excited for them. And I'm glad that Swifties are going to be a part of the NFL. And I cannot wait to hear whatever conspiracy theory that they cook up about Travis and Taylor and the Super Bowl or whatever. It's going to be some good shit. So I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, there's already been speculation that she's going to be the Super Bowl halftime performer. But that's been happening for a while, though. So it was before this engagement. But
she was supposed to do it last year, according to conspiracy theorists. So
and
she's good behind.
And if she was supposed to, and the NFL was like, we got to switch it up. Good for them. Way to go. Yeah. I think that's impressive because they were like, nah, forget these people. They want to think they know all these conspiracies. No, we're going to switch it up on them. So
you want to know
kudos
something
to them.
funny? You want to know something funny? You know that Taylor Swift's network is like 1.6 billion. Do you know that means that she can buy Patrick Mahomes' contract 4 different times and still have money left over?
Maybe that's the conspiracy. Maybe the Chiefs are like, so we need.
How do you
money.
feel about being an owner?
Yeah.
I mean,
Travis
honestly,
play? No, he's 36 already. This is probably going to be his last year.
Yeah.
So why don't you let Travis just go in the sunset and why don't you just be owner?
My favorite tweet is
Kenny coach? No.
My favorite tweet I saw was, how much does Taylor give Travis as an allowance at each week?
I know. His check comes in and she's like, put it in the bank.
Yeah, we're
We'll
going to put that in savings
for a rainy day. Okay.
Yeah, just in case something happens. So,
Do you think he ever says, let me take you to Bermuda? Or do you think it's her going, hey, let's go to Bermuda?
Well, there was a clip that they sent on New Heights where it was like, they were talking about Pretty Woman is a misogynistic movie, so they need to do the opposite, Pretty Man. And Jason's like, Travis, you're living a pretty man lifestyle. Like, you got a super ultra rich person who's just taking you around town and all that. And it's like, yeah, that's true.
It's got a point.
Travis got himself a sugar mama.
I will say this. Anybody who's bashing like Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce because of all this, you're obviously not seeing the big picture. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they just keep showing Taylor Swift. What's the big deal? But it obviously was a big deal because there were like little girls who were like, I want to watch football with my dad because they might show Taylor Swift. And a lot of people I've seen too were like, well, she paid the NFL to put her on screen. And okay, even if that were true, she still, like, when they put her on screen, she has to make sure that she's not doing anything that can be construed as like really negative or really bad to her younger audience. So if she has a beer in her hand, that could be controversial. If she's drinking a beer, that could like freak people out, and they're like, I'm never listening to Taylor Swift. So like, she always has to be on her like
best
on
behavior.
top of everything.
Yeah.
So it just makes me laugh when people are like, oh, she paid to be on there, and I'm like, okay, even so, she can't be herself. Like, if she wanted to smoke a little weed, she can't. This is coming from Raider fans.
Smoke a little doobie.
in Oakland, it always was weed. But I mean, for real though, like it's so dumb. Like these people who are just like, it's so stupid. Why are we talking about it? And it's like, dude, listen, this is actually good because it brings attention to a different audience to football, but also, like you said, it shows that two people who are famous, who don't need each other's money, can still be happy
and have a healthy relationship.
Yeah, and I hope they stay together.
Yeah,
I know I don't know, who knows? Always could be something, but
I mean, honestly, they're basically the same age as you and I, so they're a perfect example of like people that find each other later in life and are happy or whatever. And plus, the NFL's reputation of how they kind of don't care about women and how they'll let any NFL player that's had a domestic violence accusation or ruling on them, they'll let them kind of come back after they serve some game. It's kind of nice to have a female audience that's willing to watch the NFL.
Yeah.
And somebody as powerful as Taylor Swift. And let's be completely clear, Taylor Swift does not need the NFL at all. She's doing
another thing that makes me laugh when people make that argument. Oh, yeah. She paid. Why? She's gonna make money.
She doesn't need the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just got all of her songs back, so she's doing fine. She don't need the NFL. I think she's
good. Yeah. No, I think she's good.
Honestly, she could buy the Chiefs. She could buy the whole freaking league. So she could be the NFL commissioner. Then what would you say? Everyone would be like, "Oh crap." It'd be
Can you
so
imagine
funny.
her as the commissioner?
She'd be like, "We're not even going to play the games. Chiefs win," and everyone's going to be like, "God dang it!"
Oh, you want to
We
talk
should have
about
just
a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
There's your
I want to
conspiracy
see
theory.
those. I want to see those.
Yeah.
She's buying the NFL, guys. She's
There we
gonna
go.
make
We're
it
gonna put that.
in every state. She's going to play at every NFL stadium
Good. I
on
hope
Sunday.
so. I hope so. We hear Taylor Swift in every stadium. I want that stuff blasting all game long. I want Shake It Off everywhere. So,
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I
I
want
think
some
that's it for
love
Drew.
story.
There we go. All right, guys. We're gonna end it right there for Drew Code. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the social medias. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drew, man, this was a fun show. We almost went 2 hours deep in it. So
Yeah, my wife's gonna be mad.
yeah, well, I got to clean up the house still a little bit. My wife comes home tomorrow, so yeah. So no, that's good. I appreciate this. We don't do this very often, but hopefully with the NFL season, we'll be back more often. So stay tuned for us on Instagram.
Taylor's gonna buy it. The NFL's done.
You know, we should call Taylor to see if she'll hire us to do this. So let's put a call in. Yeah, let's do it.
Taylor, hey, we'll make conspiracy theories, and your name will be forever legendary.
Yeah, just leave it to us dads. All right, guys. We're going to end it on that. Appreciate you guys. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. See ya.